Welcome to eBritish Ielts. So today we are going to talk about some must-know tips and tricks to perform better in the writing task 1 of the writing module of your IELTS exam. Now this video is specifically for the academic students because the writing task 1 for academic and the general training papers are different. In the academic part of it, you are usually given some sort of a data interpretation question. So you'll be given some bar graphs, line graphs, tables, flowcharts, and you will be asked to explain them. And in the general training part of it, you are usually given a letter to write. So it can be any kind of letter, a formal letter, an informal letter, or a semi-formal letter. So today we're going to discuss some tips for the academic part of it so that you can perform better in your writing task. Now remember that the writing task 1 carries 3 out of 9 bands. And you have to write it in about 150 words. Do not fall short of words. Always try to cover those 150 words. If you tend to exceed 150 words, it's fine. Just make sure that you're not writing about 500 words, then it's going to make it very long, and also you will take a lot of time for it. Time management is very important. Since you just have to write 150 words in the writing task 1, it is recommended that you take 15 and at most 20 minutes to complete it so that you have enough time to do your writing task 2, which is a little more difficult as compared to the task 1. So there is no specific format of writing the writing task 1, but as IELTS trainers, we usually recommend one format so that it's easier for the students to follow that and practice. It makes them practice in a lot more better way. So what is that format? First, we write an introduction, and in the introduction, we always paraphrase the question, whatever information is given. Then the second part is writing the overview. Now, an overview is a general summary of the whole question of whatever the data is given to you. And the third part is the main body paragraph, where you have to explain everything in detail. So this is the 3-step format that we usually follow to write the writing task 1. Now moving on to the tips and tricks that you can follow to make it a lot better. The first is avoid giving too many details. Now the word limit is just 150 words. You have to finish it in 15 to 20 minutes. So obviously you cannot be giving a lot of minute details in your answer. Whenever you look at the question, notice that most of the time the question ends with select and report the relevant data. What does select and report mean? That you have to select whatever is the most relevant, whatever are the highlighting features, whatever the examiner should know. So you have to kind of go through the whole thing, analyze the question in a better way, and select whatever has to be written in it. If you sit there and start writing everything in minute details, it's going to take a lot of time. You will exceed the word limit. Maybe you reach 500 words, so that's not recommended at all. So keep it short and crisp, and avoiding too many details also helps you save time. The second is write an overview. Now IELTS doesn't really prescribe a set format, as I told you, but we always recommend to write an overview because it makes a very good impression on the examiner. It looks very neat on the paper, and also it gives your answer a better structure. So what is an overview? It is basically a short summary of whatever information is given in the question. You have to write the highlighting features of the question. For example, you can quote something, you can quote the highest or the maximum number, or you can quote the lowest or the minimum number. So you just have to generally analyze whatever the question is talking about. The third is mention correct figures. Now sometimes what happens is that these kind of questions tend to get a little overwhelming. When you see so many graphs and so many numbers on the question paper, you tend to get a little confused as to what to write and what not to write. And in that confusion, you may end up writing wrong figures and wrong numbers in your answer. So if you write wrong numbers and wrong figures, it just makes your whole answer irrelevant. It will be incorrect, and you will end up losing a lot of marks. So it is always a good idea that you double check. After you've written your writing task 1, take about 2 to 3 minutes to revise and to double check if you've made any mistakes. The fourth is write at least 2 body paragraphs. So if you are given 2 graphs, if you've been given 2 tables, then obviously it's understood that you will be making 2 body paragraphs. But even if you're given just 1 line graph or just 1 table or just 1 process diagram, then also it is highly recommended that you make at least 2 body paragraphs, because it just looks neater on the paper when you write it. It's more cohesive, and your answer is very structured, and you're putting out points in a much more organized way. The fifth is do not write a conclusion. So in contrast to the writing task 2 of the writing module, we do not write any conclusions in the writing task 1. Why don't we write any conclusions? Because we are not supposed to give any reasons. We're not supposed to assume anything here. We just make our 2 body paragraphs and end it like that. We do not write a separate conclusion in the writing task 1. The sixth is correct usage of tenses. This is extremely important. If you're not using the correct tense, the whole flow of your write-up is going to be disrupted. You will not score anything in the grammar and accuracy criteria of the writing task. So make sure that you look at the dates properly. Currently, we are in the year 2021. So any information that has been provided to you is of before 2021, then obviously you're going to write everything in the past tense. If it is after 2021, if they're predicting something, if they're estimating something that is going to happen after 2021, then you will use future tense. And if no dates have been given at all, then you're free to write in the present tense. So make sure that you're using the correct tenses. The seventh is do not write any examples, do not give your own opinions, do not supply any reason for whatever is happening in the question. You do not have to assume anything on your own. I'm sure you will be having a lot of ideas of your own, but avoid that. Stick to whatever's been given in the question. Mention and quote only those facts and figures. You do not have to supply any reason for why a certain thing is following an upward trend or why is it following a certain downward trend. You just have to mention whatever is happening over there. Do not make any assumptions or do not provide any examples also of your own. So these are 7 must-know tips and tricks that will help you write better answers in the writing task 1 of your writing module.